Frack on. Welcome to another episode of Fracking the Canon, or I guess the timeline or spaghetti timeline.
Yeah.
According to how this movie says it. I'm here with my brother from another mother, Mr. CJ McCree. How you doing, sir?
Oh, sir, in another timeline, I'm doing pretty bad, but in this one, you know what? I'm doing all right.
I guess some community fans will call it the darkest timeline or the brightest timeline. I don't know. I think this is the brightest timeline that we're in. Um, for us community fans. All right, The Flash. It finally came out.
Ah!
Savior of the universe. Flash. He saved every one of us.
I was you beat me to it again. How dare you? Oh, Flash! Oh, damn it! I just have to do it now.
Savior of the universe.
Not that Flash.
But it should have
It should have been.
been.
I want to watch that remake too, for sure. But it finally came out after years and years of production and stars with their issues, legal eccentric behaviors. It finally came out, and we started it, and now we will talk about it.
We decided it.
What did you think?
I thought that The Flash was an enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
Um, like, and I don't have like as far as like my thoughts, general thoughts on it. Like, I don't actually have much beyond that. Like, I didn't, I don't really feel strongly about it though. Like, I like this movie more than I like most other of this era DC movies. I think we were talking offline, and I would say that this is a solid number two in the DC EU for me. And that just goes right behind, like, for me, my favorite DCEU movie is Man of Steel. So it goes Man of Steel, and then now this. And then everything else kind of a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't really thought about it too hard. It probably the next one would probably either be Wonder Woman or Shazam. It's like Wonder Woman, Shazam, and Aquaman are like kind of very similar. I feel similar about those. So like it'd be one of those. And then like
I
but
really, really, yeah. I feel you because I really enjoyed it a lot. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I just had some issues with the movie, and not even with the freaking with the star having his problems, like or her or whatever their pronouns are. Don't at me or don't come at me. I don't know what the saying is anymore. But I thought let's just start with one of the opening scenes was the babies falling down. I'm like, dude, what the hell was that? I have never ever seen that. I've never ever seen that, and that was just like I was mortified and laughing, and I'm just like, I don't know if I should laugh or if I should say something because I just felt like so confused by that scene.
I thought that when that scene was over, I thought it was such an interesting scene because it's kind of like the first set piece, first superhero set piece. You know what I mean? That kind of gets you into the movie. Like, hey, here's that superhero doing that superhero thing that they like, right? Like, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, but I was like, man, like this is so tonally weird that when we got to the end of it, I was like, okay, this is the movie. Like, this is what they're saying. Like, this is they're letting us know this is kind of the style of what we're going for. And when I kind of absorbed it like that, like I didn't hate it. I was like, okay, like they're kind of like telling us like this is a hero, a character in a movie. You know, he doesn't take himself all that seriously. You know what I mean? But which is fine. You know what I mean? The Flash, I feel like should be fun, and I felt like they did some fun things with his powers, and you know, in that with in this movie and in that scene. You know what I mean? To try and show it. I think. I think that a minus for this movie, and it's not even this movie's fault, is that we've seen super speed done better in other places. You know what I mean? So it doesn't feel as it doesn't have as much pop as I feel like it should have in a movie called The Flash that is technically like the first speedster. You know what I mean? Kind of a thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm still yawning. Um, that was. I remember being underwhelmed. I'm sorry, Robin, for Justice, Young Justice, that I'm not whelmed. But I just remember being like, oh well, I've seen this done better in other movies and other shows. But yeah, that just took me out of it. I remember thinking emotionally, I was very moved by the movie. I saw it again, I still teared up. But what really got me were the cameos. Not even the cameos, but just the star that showed up. I'm like, oh my god, we got Batfleck, we got the OG. He's my Batman, my second Batman, and then the other dude.
Um,
Uh, Go ahead.
I think it's cool because Batman, we always feel like Batfleck never really got a fair shake. So it's just cool, like, to see him, you know what I mean, in the Cape and Cowl again, and he got like an action scene, you know what I mean, like, it was cool, and he was, doing some cool stuff. I thought I liked that aspect of this movie because, like, I mean, so this movie, I mean, obviously full of spoilers or whatever. Like, this movie is Flashpoint, like the comic story Flashpoint, like it
Yeah.
is Flashpoint. You know what I mean? Like, so like it's cool because the comic Flashpoint has a lot of Justice League cameos, or it's sort of like DC encompassing. So it's cool to see that reflected in this movie. Also, like I feel like it's like the first time we got a DCEU cameo that didn't feel like super forced like the rest of them do. Like
Mhm.
this one, like is really felt like how a comic book feels like, hey, this character just exists in this world, and sometimes they just like kind of intersect, you know what I mean? And like I really like that because it was like it wasn't like you got like a full Justice League lineup shot. No, you got like, oh, Wonder Woman just showed up real quick to like scoop in and save Batman or whatever, and Batman needed Barry to come to Gotham to do this one thing, and then like, you know what I mean? It was just like this. They're connected, they're coordinated, you know what I mean? Like you would imagine heroes would be, but like they're also like kind of like living their own lives and stuff. And I just really liked how they did the cameos in this movie.
That was awesome. I mean, we'll talk about. Let's jump to the other cameos, the one in the climax. How did you
Mm-hmm.
feel about those?
So we're talking about what, like the worlds colliding? Is that what we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about? Like, yeah, those are cool. Like, I thought like because of like the style they chose with the weird, Polar Express animation or whatever. Like,
Yeah, that was really weird. What was up with that? I can't defend that. I'm like, I
it's
can't.
just,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like I don't dis like they used it so much that I don't disagree that it was a style choice, right? I just wish it was more stylized. You know what I mean? Like that's all I wish from it is like this just looks like bad CGI. Like, and if it was just that, like I wish maybe you added like a color to it, or it was black and white, or it was like something, you know what I mean? Tinged, there was something more that made it even more exaggerated and more stylized, so it didn't feel weird. You know what I mean? Like,
I read something that it was on purpose, but I'm like, was it really on purpose? It felt like this was rushed because I cannot like I thought it was cool. When we talked about this offline, seeing the worlds collide and destroy each other, like another multiverse movie mentioned, and you said you the one that pointed out, CJ, was Doctor Strange. But before we go there, I want to was like, okay, it's cool seeing Christopher Reeve next to Helen Slater, but what's up with their faces? Like, why do they look so weird? My
you know what I
favorite
thought?
moment. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'll let you say what your favorite one.
My favorite moment was a reference to Kevin Smith, the Thagnarian Snare Beast. I'm like, no way, they did it. They did it. That's awesome. But and I think that CGI looked way better than the other CGIs. With I'm like, dude, like what? Why? Por qué? Why? um, but you were saying,
No, yeah, I thought that was a really cool cameo, and I remember like being in the theater, like and like seeing the big spider, you know what I mean, and them fighting it, and I was like, is that gonna be Nicolas Cage? Like, I was like, you kidding? Like, and he turns around and it is, and I was like, yeah, that's dope. But no, what I thought was weird about it because like all these are cameos, but again, like it's done in this weird CGI thing, so like essentially it's just like kind of animations of what those characters are. So I thought like it was weird that you're doing this multiverse kind of thing. You're bringing in these cameos. Like, why didn't we get a Grant Gustin cameo? You know what I mean? Like, if he didn't even have to be there, like it could just been like this animated rendition of him. Like, why didn't we get a Flash series cameo? Like, that's all. That's what I just thought was weird. Like, since they were doing cameos in that fashion, you know what I mean? Like, where was the Flash series cameo? Like,
Yeah, because I guess they were only the move which because there was a Jay Garrick there, wasn't there?
There was a Jay Garrick. Was
But who
he?
was but who was that
I
Jay
can't.
Garrick? Hmm.
Yeah, I can't remember what actor played him. Was he a someone that we should care about?
I don't know. Dude. So here's the thing: my only recollection of a live action Jay Garrick was from the Flash TV show with Grant Gustin. But
Hmm.
the guy who played that character, who you find out later is Eobard Thawne or Zoom, that wasn't me. But I mean, dude, it looks just like you. So I guess my theory is that they just used stock footage and put it in the movie.
Interesting.
I'm guessing my theory that because I'm like, dude, who else could it be, right? Like, who else would it be? No, I thought that was cool. I loved the love letter to uh to Christopher Reeve and Hans later. I thought it was pretty good. George. I'm like, dude, I haven't seen George Reeves in forever. That's cool.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Adam West thing was pretty cool. Something I'm jumping all around right now because I just saw it too. Was that at the end of this movie we see a Batman, we see a Bruce Wayne. But we've already seen another Bruce Wayne, and for the longest time I thought this was the same character, the same universe. But when this Bruce Wayne shows up, does this mean that these movies take place in another universe? I'm talking about George Clooney. George Clooney shows up as Bruce Wayne. But we see Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne. So does that mean that George Clooney's Bruce Wayne is a different universe? What I'm asking.
Well, so remember that Bruce Wayne, Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne was the Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne that we are familiar with. Like that was clear, right?
Right.
But we were not in that Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne's universe. Based on the rules of time travel and how the multiverse works in this movie, what Barry did when he changed the thing was he basically like broke time, and what he created was like a universe that was kind of like a patchwork of timelines. You know what I mean? So it was like
Okay.
that Batman existed that was like the Batman that we know, but because time was broken, he just existed in this new universe. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like
Yeah.
as like his Batman, but he just existed in this other universe. It was that Batman, but in this new timeline kind of thing. So like to say like, are we in like Batman and Robin verse at the end of this? No, it's just as a result of you know what I mean, like him trying to like put things back together, but like you never really can put it back the way it was
Uh-huh.
like as a result of that like final like sort of change and him going back like that's what Batman is now. You know what I mean, like that's what Batman is that now, you know.
Okay, because I was just thinking about it too. I'm like, huh? I didn't think about it till I saw it again. I'm like, huh? Does this mean? Because I always thought like those ones. Because the first Michael Keaton one, I took it as the Batman, the Tim Burton Batman movies happened, and then he just ends up coming to this 2023 Tim Burton verse, and then those movies did happen, and then this happens. So like, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, like it makes it just what you we actually naturally got to what I was gonna ask you next was like what did you think about the rules of time travel in this because like they're so I feel like they're so different from all the other like we've in the last decade we've gotten new rules for time travel in movies, right? Like
Like in
whereas I feel like and then this is yet another new set of rules and I find it really interesting. Like I wasn't necessarily lost, but it is a new concept and I found it super interesting. But yeah, what did you think about like the new kind of rules for time travel they set up?
I thought it was interesting. I'm still not 100% sure what the rules were. It felt like because they referenced it so much, they were trying to use Back to the Future rules.
Well, back to the what makes this different from Back to the Future
Uh-huh.
is that in Back to the Future, like time is like a straight line, right? And
Right.
then like so like I go from here to here and then I can change this event, right? Like, and now there's a new, you know what I mean? I just
Right.
changed,
Okay.
but I don't change that this is a line. I just go back here. I changed something here, and like, unlike the MCU, it doesn't splinter off. Like, I'm just making a new past, right? You know what I mean? Like, and I have
Okay.
not changed what the future is. This movie is saying if you
Oh,
do this movie isn't super different from that, right? It's like time's a line, but if you go back, but it's more like a 3D space, right? Like, and it's like if you go back and change something, like instead of like it changing it from that moment forward, like it's more of like if you drop a rock in water, it has a ripple effect like
right.
throughout time. You know what I mean? So it's like you change something. No, it doesn't just change it that moment forward. It changes that moment forward and back.
Yep.
So it's like,
And you references that too in the spaghetti with the spaghetti thing. And I'm like, why
right.
don't you just use the ripple? Now that you say that, why don't you just use the ripple thing?
That's what I
Uh,
thought. Like that to me, that sounds easier to understand. But like, I think the spaghetti is more for comedic effect, right? Like,
when you say that, I'm like, I thought it was fine. I thought I've always it was always the Schroeder's kind of cat theory for me. It was like the Schroeder's cat thing, like it both alive and dead at the same time.
mm,
It was kind of like that. I'm like, okay, I get it. It's like until you make a choice or whatever, this happens. That becomes a ticket timeline. And I wasn't that confused because Doctor Who does it all the time too. They're like, time is timely wimely, timmy wibbly wobbly. Like if there's no, it's not linear, it's circular, blah blah blah.
mm.
I'm not saying that I'm versed in time travel, but I'm like, okay, what are the rules this time around with time travel? Um, because I thought it was cool. I thought it was pretty cool. What I did like about this one was that because as I'm watching this movie, I'm like, okay, Flash is trying to save his mom by changing the time, but he left it in like, no, I can't do that. I have to. And this is, I think, the why I like this movie so much about it was, I think I've always had issues letting stuff go for me personally. So I'm like, okay, this is still a problem for even people, even superheroes, I guess, but not really. But like, it's a problem people have in general, right? So I'm like, okay, just let it go. This is what to happen. But as I'm watching this time, I'm like, around. I'm like, so Superman went back in time to save one woman, and that was it. I'm like, this movie completely obliterates Superman 1 for me because what does he do?
All those things I can do, all those powers, and I couldn't even save him.
I'm asking you, what does he do? He goes
He
back in
goes back
time.
in time to save one woman. He goes back in time to save one woman and destroys everything. Um,
So I'm like, so now I'm thinking, so what happened? So the Superman 1 happened or did not happen? So I'm like, that took me out of the movie. As I watched the movie, I'm like, huh. But let's talk about anything else you want to talk about before I move on to. I have some questions about some actors or actresses.
um, let's see here. What did I have? There was something what bothered me. There was something that bothered me. It had to do with the time travel. You know what bothered me kind of about this movie was like, and it was just something that took me out. Like I understood why Barry did what he did, right? Like why like he listened to Batfleck Bruce Wayne's advice. He said, "No, you don't. You go back in time. You change a thing, and you know what I mean. The interactions. You never know what could happen, right? Like, and so he was like, "Oh well, all I got to do is give her the freaking tomatoes, right? Like, and that's it." Um, but it's like you had no desire to like know who killed the mom. You know what I mean? Like you had no desire to like know, just like hang out in the watch see who actually did it, right? Like, because like your dad is like
That was
rotting for this crime. You know what I mean? You had no desire to find out who actually did it. You know?
And that was my question too. Was like, why? Like, we're comic book fans. We're so we know what it is. But I'm like, so
Right.
who is it here? So I guess what I heard was, I heard it on Kevin Smith's podcast. I guess the director said he was waiting for the sequel to do that. But Mark Bernardin said, what did he say? He goes, you don't plan food for tomorrow when you have a table full now, or whatever, or something like
Yeah.
that. I'm like, and dude, I'm like, yeah, you don't know if you're gonna have a sequel. Put it now. I was worried too. I'm like, dude, like, when to me again, I'm like, dude, I'm like, who killed it? Who killed the mom? It must have been Reverse Flash or Zoom or whatever. But I'm like, I was expecting that, but I'm like, I thought that would have been better. Like, I've always loved the idea of I made you, you made me kind of thing.
I and I like that too. Like, here's the thing: like looking at this movie, it didn't need it. It did not need it.
No, I didn't,
It's
because it wasn't
something
that movie. That movie was
right.
about, yeah,
It
that
was
movie.
exactly. Like it just, but it does in some way take me out of it. Like, really, you don't want to know? Like, this is like ruined your entire life. You know what I mean? Like,
Like,
you've
to the point you
thought
fucked up
about
timeline.
this a
Yeah,
whole lot. You know what I mean? Like, and you don't want to know who killed your mom. Like, you don't want to know who killed your mom, huh? Like, freaking.
you
But
know, let it lie there, huh? Okay, right on.
right, that's just
Um,
that was, I just found that weird. I found that
that
weird. Like,
that did throw me out too. I'm like, because even then, as I'm watching, I'm like, well, dude, who killed it? Like, why don't you want to go find who did it? Like, you're not you time
because
travel. Why
even
don't
if you're not going to change the past, that information could still help you in the present. You know what I mean? Like, knowing who killed your mom, like, can help your present day. You know what I mean? So
I was gonna ask you too. How did you feel about younger Barry? And dude, that was so annoying. I'm like, oh my god, dude. That was,
freaking younger baby. You know what what I liked about the dynamic? I actually grew to really like it. Because when he first like showed up on screen, I was just like, oh my gosh, dude, like this freaking character is going to annoy the crap out of me. You know what I mean? Like, even though just the way he's walking, like when he shows up, you know what I mean? It was kind of funny, but like but just I'm just like, dude, this character is gonna know. But like, I felt like having a super hyper annoying version of Ezra Miller on screen, like made the other version seem like very palatable. You know what I mean? Like it kind of really helped me digest like that I have prior problems with this depiction of the character like from earlier movies anyway. You know what I mean? Like it's not my favorite version of the Flash, you know.
it's not my favorite version of Barry Allen. I'm like, this isn't Barry Allen. This is Wally West. The way he's playing him as Wally West and not Barry Allen.
Well, see, to me, like it's even, and I wish I felt that way. Although I feel like younger Barry in this movie is more
Oh,
Wally West.
definitely.
But I felt like, to me, it felt more like if I felt that way, I would accept it more. But to me, it felt like more of a reaction to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and I felt like he was a lot more like that character than he was like a Flash character, and that's what bothered me about it. Like I was like, Flash isn't Barry Allen isn't Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like Barry Allen isn't freaking Peter Parker. Like, and you're making him kind of feel like Peter Parker. This movie I felt like less so, right? Like I felt like he did feel more like Barry Allen. He did feel like more like a Wally West. He felt like a Flash character, more than he felt like a copy Marvel character. You know what I mean?
I can see that. No, I definitely enjoyed the dynamic between both Ezra's Millers. One of my favorite moments is when they're in the Batcave and he goes like, "Dude, like you have no advantage." When like he's like just scolding younger Barry, I'm like, "Dude, like wow, okay." Like I felt that. I'm like, this is like, oh my god, you are like. I will say this about this movie: Ezra Miller puts his heart into this freaking performance. I'm like, dude, like I actually felt him acting. I'm like, oh my god, you are this character. There's these little beats in the movie that I'm like, okay, cool. I believe it. I believe the pathos of this scene.
And
Um,
that's actually one of my favorite scenes because I feel like it very perfectly tees up like the bad guy reveal at the end, you know what I mean? Because like of this moment that they share here together, like between one another, like, and I feel like it causes them to like have this like bro moment between each other. You know what I mean? They have this friction, and then it's like, you know what I mean? The younger one kind of learns to respect kind of like what the older one has, and the older one kind of like learns to like, okay, well, I need to kind of chill out. Like he doesn't know, and he doesn't need to know, and I really don't want to put this on him that I'm dealing with this thing, you know what I mean? Kind of a thing. Like I really like what that moment says about both of those characters. And I think that younger Barry carries this moment into the future, and it kind of is what part of what transforms him into, you know what I mean, like the future villain. I think that moment is of him not wanting to let older Barry down too, right? Because like it wasn't just he didn't want to let Supergirl and Batman die, but he also didn't want Older Barry to like lose his mission too, right? Like which
Right.
was to save their mom, you know what I mean? Like, and so like yeah, like that. I really like that moment again, like saying that between the two Barrys. And I like that, you know, we were never gonna get an origin story for the Flash at this point. So they kind of threw an origin story in this movie,
That's
kind
what I
of,
was
you know.
thinking. Yeah, I'm like they gave the other buried origin story. I'm like it like it is an origin story, but not really. Kind of like it's kind of to the so we got flashbacks of like this is what happened. Like I got with this, and then on the first day that Zod, one of my first days with powers, Zod is terraforming the Earth. I thought that was cool too. Sorry, oops, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
Oops, wrong post.
I absolutely love the first moment when he gets superpowers, and then like he just runs through the city and like just makes the biggest mess ever, like freaking within 30 seconds, and like the entire power is out, and then it's like standing in the middle of the ring of fire in between like all just like this freaking like intersection full of like crash cars and stuff. Like it's just like amazing.
Um,
He comes back like, "What did you do? Nothing."
no, I think I just like that they just give them the thing. He goes, "Why are we always naked?" He goes, "Not always. No, we're not always naked." I love everything. Like I love, dude. Like I liked it a lot. I didn't. Did I love it? Yeah, I did. I did love most of this movie, except for that third act where I'm like, well, who kills his mom, and what does this mean for Superman, the first movie? That really took me out of it. I'm like, because there he is, right there. Like you're referencing him. Um, Supergirl, Sasha Calle, Kayel, I believe it's Calle. What did you think?
I loved her. In many ways. I know we've talked about on another episode of like DC stuff, and when we were doing the DC speculation video,
Mm.
and we were talking about like the future of Supergirl. I don't know that this is going to be the new Supergirl or whatever. In fact, I'm doubtful that she will be this cast.
The only
Which I
thing
could.
the only thing I've seen about that is that she says supposedly met with James Gunn and Peter whatever about
Mhm.
possible upcoming Supergirl projects, but that's all that's been reported.
Well,
So,
all I will say about this, the Supergirl that I want to see on the big screen. I've said this before, like on the show. The Supergirl I want to see on the big screen. This girl embodies it. She was that Supergirl in this movie, like this darker, edgier version of the character. And
right.
like, if that's the direction they want to take, like this Supergirl fits that. Like I was like, if we have to see Supergirl, if we have to see Supergirl on the screen, I want this version of the character, or a version that is like this. So yeah, what do I think about this Supergirl? I thought she was great. And I would like to see them lean into this actress as the next Supergirl, but we'll see how that goes.
First of all, the fact that she's just Hispanic or Latina was a big plus for me. But I thought she was no BS. Really, really good. I love the character. That one scene where she goes, "What did you do? What did you do?" And she just laser fracks Zod. Was awesome. I'm like, dude, she was. I was blown away by her performance. Like I thought she was really good. Um, say about the big one, Mr. MK, Mr. OG. You want to get nuts?
Come on, let's get nuts.
I wish they didn't feel like they just had to like fish through old movies for like iconic lines just to throw back at us. You know what I mean? Like in a new movie, like 20 years later. But I mean, sometimes it works. My favorite moment, I really liked his introduction when he comes out the closet and freaking does like old man ninja stuff. But my what I surprisingly like my favorite moment with him is the after the raid or whatever they do to save Supergirl, and he's like in the mirror stitching himself up, and he gives that smile at the mirror. You know what I mean? That was like my favorite moment with him. I was
Dude.
like,
Oh, same, because it reminded me of Batman Returns. I'm like, there he goes, motherfucker, just women.
yeah, he just does that great. But yeah, I was just like, oh man, yeah, that's cool. Like this character, I like that. You know what I mean? I thought it was a pleasure to see him again, and I thought that they used him really well. Yeah.
I have one issue with this movie with him. It shows the freaking Batmobile, but we never see it used. And I know, and we get the Batwing and everything, but I'm like, yeah, the Batwing's one thing, but the
I
Batmobile.
we don't see any Batmobile even. I mean we get the bike with Ben Affleck, but yeah, we don't get him used. I would feel I don't necessarily feel that way. Like I feel like I would feel that way um if Michael Keaton never really got Batmobile justice. One thing I don't feel like Michael Keaton got justice for in his movies was in the action fight scenes, which I thought that they rectified nicely in this movie.
I, dude, I'm gonna put it and say it right now. That Christmas scene in Batman Returns, where he's just going that way. Is he? He just, yeah. I like that. Like I've been known to say lately. I like it a lot. I thought this was way better, but I'm like, I'm like, that's not Michael Keaton fight in the suit fighting.
No, of course. You know what I mean? It's like the magician, whole
Yeah.
thing. We know magic isn't real, but we want to be fooled anyway. But I just like I like that aspect of it. Like this
Mm.
is a Batman. This dude is Batman, and you know what I mean? That he has that whoopassery in him, you know what I mean? And it's cool to finally see that, on the big screen, especially for a character that I grew up watching.
Right.
Uh,
Um, I think that's it. Final comment, final thoughts. I don't
what
have
do
many.
you think of how do you feel about no Reverse Flash in this movie?
I'm okay with it because it would have been too much to explain. I like the fact that it was him being his own. It was him being his own. It was his own. It was very Tony Stark. It was very Marvel of them to be like he created his own problem. Would have liked to see a Reverse Flash. Yes, I think it would have been too much story, too much or another origin story. I'm like, I wish they would have introduced him earlier in the previous movies or something like that, or give him some sort of like something like that. But I don't know how we're gonna go on with this character, with at least with this actor, if we are, because
Well,
I guess. Good.
I mean, I almost feel like, part of me feels like them ending with George Clooney as Batman is almost like the nail in the coffin, right? Like, this is it. Like, we're done with this universe. Definitely. You know what I mean? Like, you're never going to see any of this crap again. Like,
So I don't know how true this is, but I guess the rumor was they were aiming for Christian Bale, but he kept saying no.
hmm,
I don't know how true that is. So I said that's a rumor I read. So I want to emphasize rumor that Christian Bale was up for that role, and he said no. I'm
hmm.
like, you know what? That's fine because George Clooney works just as fine, anyways.
He does, like, because it was a cameo that when I saw it, like my first thought was like, dude, I can't believe I wasn't spoiled about this. Like, I can't believe I never heard anything
I know
saying
why
that
that is
maybe in it.
because they hadn't filmed it yet, like till I guess to the last minute. Like I guess when they had the theater expo, they
Mm,
it cuts with the foot coming out, and that's it. That's how the movie ends, supposedly, and because they
mm,
hadn't filmed it yet. So what I heard on Kevin Smith's podcast, Fat Man Beyond.
interesting.
I think it was down to the wire, and like, well, frack it, we'll just go with because who else could if they got Val Kilmer? Val Kilmer can't talk.
Right. Yeah. But it would have
Maybe,
been cool.
maybe
A nod or something. No, it would have been cool.
you
I
know
would have
what would
took
have been funny if they would have done it, but I would have been mad if they
what,
did it. If they
Chris
got
O'Donnell.
Twilight Twilight guy, what's his name?
Oh, Pattinson. Oh, I would have been cool with that. I'd have been alright with that. But that would have drove fans crazy. That would
I
have been too
know.
much. That would have been too much. Like they would have been like, "Oh my god, he's in the freaking thing now!"
It's official. It's official. He's part of the DCEU.
All right, yeah, that would have drove too many people in. They would have been irresponsible with their fandom.
Have they ever been responsible with the fandom though, CJ? Have
uh,
they? Final comment, final thoughts.
I mean, I like this movie. I liked it more than I expected to, and I thought that I didn't hate Ezra Miller as much as I expected to in the movie. Um, yeah, I mean that's about it. As much as nice swan song for this iteration of what DC was. I think it's very indicative of the DCEU. You know what I mean? I think it also represents some of the best of what it could have been, but it's like it's kind of a mess like the DCEU, you know what I mean? But it like makes the best of itself. And like that's what's cool about it, kind of a thing. But it's also like I don't know, it ends the DCEU in the best way possible. I would say. But I mean, going forward, let's just whatever, bring on Superman Legacy already, I guess, right?
Um, I feel like because they announced it after Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, right? I remember it's one of the first movies they announced. I'm like,
It was around that time when they gave us that whole slate, you know what I mean, for the first
yeah,
time.
and it was supposed to be one of the first. It was supposed to come out like at least 2017, I think.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, it took forever. So I'm like, all right, well, we got it. So I don't know why it took so long, but it
Oh, one
I
last thing that I really love, the fake out title. I love the fake out title.
that was so funny.
That was great. I thought that was amazing. He's like charging up and it's like the flag. It's just like
That was the most meta thing I've ever seen in a DCEU movie. And then, um,
and then he does it again. Like, yeah, it's like that's cool.
dude, one of my favorite lines is my second viewing was like when Wonder Woman has their and let's just say this right now. It's not maybe not Gal Gadot, but the theme song for Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. I think it's the end all be all of Wonder Woman theme song. Like Batman for me, it's Danny Elfman. I think the definitive Superman theme is John Williams. I think this is whatever it's called. I think this is Wonder Woman's definitive theme.
I,
So
I
what?
I would agree. I think in the future when we hear like maybe if they do like a new Justice League cartoon or something, right? Like when that character Wonder Woman pops on the screen, you know what I mean? It's gonna be something that's a fake version of this theme, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, no, that theme is Chef's Kiss.
I know, and it's like if I remember like the first time you heard it, and it's just like, what is this? Like, what? And it's so jarring, kind of a thing. And then like,
Yeah, I remember it was Batman versus Superman. I'm like, dude, like this is so awesome. I remember being like, I like it. I got to saying that now, but I remember
I
liking it. I'm like, go ahead.
I typically only like it in practice, like in the movie, like when they use it and stuff, and like I like the effect that they a lot of times that the composer has the ways that they have found to implement it into the scenes and stuff. Like I've liked that a lot, or how they like kind of build it low and then it like starts and then it, you know what I mean, the way they use it. Like I'm like, man, you guys are really freaking badass. Except the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, I didn't really care for it there, but I
Yeah,
feel like that was almost the worst implementation of her theme actually, but
I don't remember much of that movie. We talked about it. I won't talk about it ever again.
well, luckily, thanks to James Gunn, you probably won't have to
Thank you, sweet
until he does his version of Crisis, and they have to bring it back.
I hate you. Yes. I got nothing else. We'll see. Same freaking time, same freaking channel. Frack off, Flash fans.